Hello, welcome back, Cupcakes and Coasters, back to my channel. How's everyone doing? All alright? All holding in there? Hanging in there? Hanging in there's the phrase, isn't it? Hello, I thought I'd start off by explaining the room. Connor and I are looking to move into a house, but currently, because it's COVID and all that, we're in between flats. I'm currently at my mum's house, so we're in the spare room, so cheers Joe for the lovely bedspread and diamante mirror behind me. I mean, as I'm sure you can tell, it's not my usual taste, but it will do for now. And this is, yeah, any videos that I'm going to film over the next, I guess, month at least are going to be probably in here, so you'll have to forgive me. Who knows, it might be your taste and you might think it's absolutely lovely, but yeah, not my usual vibes, and doesn't have my kind of Cupcakes and Coasters stuff in the background and things like that, so sorry about that. But yeah, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about what today's video is about. Essentially, it's a theme park agony aunt video. I often get quite a lot of questions of people asking me about trip planning and like what should my milestone coaster be, and I want to go on loads of rides but I don't know how and all that stuff, so I thought I'd answer some of your questions but in like an agony aunt style video. So I thought we'd sit down, get a cup of tea and have a little chinwag, and I'll answer some of your pressing questions to the best of my ability and just have a little bit of a chat. I thought it would be fun, thought it would be nice to talk to you all. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. I asked you, oh that's really bright, I asked you on Instagram to ask me your questions, so I'm basically taking them off of Instagram, the ones you've asked me. So yeah, I'll do my best to answer them for you and hopefully have some laughs along the way. Let's get stuck in. Question 1 from CDI Williams. I'm a student with not much money to travel but still want to get some good quality creds. Any tips? So firstly what I would say is I was a student from 2009 to 2013 and I went everywhere. Like some of my biggest trips were as a student. I had a full-time job when I was a student, so obviously I got the student loan and stuff as we were entitled to back in the day. I don't really know what the situation is now. Do you still get loans and stuff? But I had the student loan and that basically paid for it helped to pay for like my accommodation and stuff. But I used to work 3 shifts a week. I was a waitress at TGI Fridays and I used to do 3 shifts a week basically to use as my cred money, and I just saved up all of that, and I did nothing else in between. Like obviously I went out, everyone goes out when you're at uni, but like all of my money that I earned, especially like from my tips, I put aside and knew I had a kind of a big trip in mind that I wanted to be saving for. Something I used to do was I would always make sure I had £100 in my current account just in case I needed to like pay for whatever, but anything else, anything on top of that, so even if it was like £101, I'd put that £1 in the savings and just keep it topped up that way. The other thing you can do if you're a student and you want some like good quality creds but you don't want to spend loads of money, do a European trip. Like you can do, I remember in 2011 I did I think it was 4 days 3 nights, and we did Efteling, Toverland, Phantasialand and Bobbejaanland. Obviously now, like if you're looking for like high quality creds, I'd probably swap Bobbejaanland out for Wallaby Belgium, especially with Conda opening this year. But those, especially if you've got someone who's like okay to drive, that's a really kind of affordable trip to do, especially if you've got a car. You can take the ferry over if you're living down south. It's not that far to drive. Like I think you can kind of drive between all of them, and there's not that much of a journey between the 4. I think it's like max 2 hours drive between each one. And I think just be prepared to like not spend a lot of money on hotels and stuff. Like you can get those like cheapo B&B places for like £50 a night, and if you've got 4 of you in a room, like it's cheaper. So I would definitely recommend looking at kind of smaller trips, more local and close to home if you can. Like if you want to go over to the continent, to Europe, kind of pick out your kind of top parks of where like the high quality creds are, because that's the good thing about Europe, they're all quite close together, so you're not going to spend too much money travelling between. Or if you did have your heart set on going on a kind of big road trip in America, just make sure you've got a job while you're a student. Like, that's my number one thing that I could recommend if you want to go on trips while you're a student. Just get a job, any job, like wherever. Like, I remember when I first started at uni, like I was working, I did like call centre work, I worked in like this awful restaurant where people were really pretentious, it was vile, but like all it just kept me going was, this is money for my trips, and like I don't care, like I'm just here to save the money, and it worked, and I got to go on some really good trips, so it's definitely worth it. Munters90 asks, am I a bad person for hating visits to theme parks with non-fans that make bad decisions? I think you, like, as enthusiasts, we obviously, most of us would have like friends, normal friends, non-enthusiast friends, how I will refer to them, or family who want to go to theme parks. Like, going to theme parks is a fairly normal activity. Like, most people have been to a theme park, like most people would do a day out of a theme park maybe like once a year, once every couple of years, whatever. So I'm sure it's something we've all experienced when your kind of non-enthusiast friends want to go. I think you just have to get yourself into like the headspace of like what's going to happen. Like, you know they're going to think that the worst ride is the best ride. You know they're going to want to spend ages getting food instead of getting on the queues. You know they're not going to want to optimise their riding time. You know they're not going to care what row they sit in. The list goes on and on, but you kind of have to like take yourself out of the enthusiast headspace for the day, is what I would say. Like, if you still want to go and enjoy a day out with non-enthusiast friends at a theme park, I would definitely recommend just like taking the enthusiast hat off for just a little bit. And like, I mean, you can make mental notes, but I think generally just try to not let it annoy you. Or like this person said, like, just don't do it. If you know it's something you can't do and it's going to annoy you, like, you're not a bad person. Like, if you're going to go and not have a good time, like, especially if you don't have an annual pass or anything and you're going to spend your money doing that and visiting those places, like, yeah, just take yourself out of it. I don't think you're a bad person at all. And I think I guess it'll be quite hard to explain, because they'll be like, you love theme parks, why don't you want to come with us? And you can't turn around and be like, because you're annoying and I'm really anal and have a specific way I like to do theme parks. But yeah, my recommendation would be to just try and switch off the goonery for one day and just enjoy yourself. Slov's Thuzy account asks, why are there so many good parks that are in really tedious parts of the world to get to? How do I get there? So this is becoming more and more of a thing. I remember when I was like younger and just first starting out on like the coaster enthusiast scene, it was all about Japan. I think Theme Park Review had just done like a couple of massive Japan trips, and that was everything that we saw on the forums and stuff was all about the kind of these big Asian parks with a particular focus on Japan. That seems to have shifted more to China, and I think that's probably what they're referring to there, or maybe some of the kind of other Asian areas of the world that are starting to build a lot of kind of like cool, some of the cool looking like Vekoma stuff. I think what I would say to that is, it's definitely a mindset thing. Like, it does seem really intimidating. I think the idea of travelling to like a non-English speaking country is really intimidating, but and because like it's not like America or somewhere like that, which, I mean, it's equal like travelling time really. Like, to go to America is not that far, and loads of people are happy to go to Australia, but I think you have that like comfort blanket of people speaking English. Whereas if you go to Asia, I think there's this fear that you're just going to be completely like just drowning in like non-English signs, languages painted on kind of signage that you don't understand. You're not going to be able to find your way. But you've got to remember, like, there's this really, I guess it's like steeped in racism, that's where it comes from, but these countries have like the internet and Wi-Fi and Google Maps and stuff like that. Like, even in China, where they have like, you can't get on Facebook, but you can use VPNs and you can still use all of your apps. Like, it really is a mindset to like just understand that it's really, whatever you're picturing in your head of what it's going to be, it's not like that. Like, it's so much easier, and there will be things where you'll get confused or you'll get stuff wrong, but if you plan for that and make sure you have time to like rectify your mistakes if stuff goes wrong, it's fine and you'll get over it. Like, it's fine, and it's like, it's a story to tell, isn't it? Like, oh yeah, we got lost in China, it's hilarious. Like, Firstly, if anything like that ever happened, you will find someone who speaks English. There's always someone. And also, like I say, if you have like a portable Wi-Fi, or you can find like a McDonald's, just go to McDonald's, go to Starbucks. Like, all of those big brands are out there. You can stop in there for a bit, use their Wi-Fi, and then be on your merry way. Like, it's just so much easier. I don't know what people expect, but if you really want to go out and ride like a Vekoma Firestorm or whatever, like the videos are coming out of Vietnam and stuff, or you want to go to China and go to like Shanghai Disneyland or whatever, like, you will do it. Like, if you really are that bothered, you'll figure out a way to make it work. And like I say, there's so many resources for kind of Western travellers to deal with it. Like, yeah, like it's just so much easier than everyone expects it to be. Okay, this person asks, I'm a little overweight and I have trouble fitting in a lot of ride restraints. It hinders my friend's day out and I worry that I'm ruining the day entirely. Help, please. So firstly, I think a lot of this is, it's really difficult because rides do have restraints and there are restrictions and there are limits to them, and unfortunately some people are shaped in ways that the restraints don't like, especially if that roller coaster happens to be Colossus that just fancies spiting everyone who's got long legs. Like, I think one way to deal with it firstly is to just do your research. Like, if you're planning on going to a theme park and you know you're a little bit on the larger side, or you've kind of looked at restraints before and know that your body shape doesn't quite fit into them that comfortably, I think just make sure you're researching and you're prepared. Like, if you know, okay, 54-inch chest restriction, I'm not going to be able to ride XYZ, just firstly mentally prepare yourself. Is that something you want to put yourself through? Because I know a lot of people wouldn't be comfortable in that situation. That's absolutely fine. And secondly, like, if they're really your friends, like, just talk to them about it and kind of say, hey guys, like, I really want to come and enjoy the day out with you, but I know I can't fit on this ride, so like, what I'm gonna do is I'll sit off and hold the bags, or I'll join the queue with you, but when it comes to getting on the ride, I'll go straight through. Like, make sure everyone's on the same page, because you don't want it to be awkward, and you don't want to be in an awkward situation where you're sat and you know you can't fit on the ride, but you're going to go through the whole rigmarole of having the op kind of try and like sort the restraint out. Like, again, it's all down to personal preference. If that's something you don't mind doing and you're fine and you're like, you can put on a brave face and just deal with it, then like, good on you, do it. But if that's something you would prefer not to do and you feel like you're going to be embarrassed, then just like take action to make sure that that's not going to happen. Like, just take yourself off. But I think talk to your friends beforehand about it and just like let them know, like, hey guys, like, it's pretty obvious I can't fit on this ride, so here's what I'm gonna do. And they won't care. The reality is they want to go on a day out to a theme park with you. They're there to enjoy your company, and the rides come second. So if it does mean that you're spending time in the queue with them and they're not riding together, and you all know that that's going to be the case, then that's absolutely fair enough. Okay, someone else asks, one of the main woes that comes to mind is getting declined the row you asked for. How do you deal with this situation? Okay, so I agree. It's really annoying, like, especially if you know the coaster, it rides better in the specific row you're after. Like, for some reason Shambhala comes to mind, and like the fact that Portaventura will not let you ride front row unless you pay for fast pass, like, that is the worst. I think there's a few ways you can go about this. Firstly, if you don't mind like making a scene, then make a scene. Like, I've done that on plenty of occasions, like literally just stood there and just been like, no, I'm gonna sit here. Like, if you want to be a dickhead about it, be a dickhead about it, and just be brash, and then you'll get your way, stamp your feet a little bit, and they'll eventually get bored of you and just let you sit there. But the thing is, 9 times out of 10 these rules are in place because there's an operational reason why, and that might not always be apparent to kind of your kind of average enthusiast going to the park. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. Like I say, if you want to be really selfish and annoying, then sure, go ahead, but usually there's a reason. The thing is, it is really annoying. Like, it's happened to me a few times. Why is it always Portaventura? It's one of the reasons I hate Portaventura. But what I would say is take a deep breath, exhale, and just understand that although we make a big deal out of front row ride, back row ride, whatever, the reality is, like, you're probably still gonna have a good time. Like, I can't think of any coaster where like the middle seats are absolutely dire. Like, it's just not as good. Like, for instance, Taron, like, I will always want to wait front row for Taron, but if I was in a situation, I think I know at the moment for COVID they're not letting people wait for the front, and if I had to ride Taron on like the 4th or 5th row, like, get over it, you're still at a theme park. Like, just like get your priorities in line a little bit, like it will be fine. And also there's every chance that you will get put in the row you want next time, so just queue up for it again if you have time. So the next person has asked, I'm at 99 creds and don't know whether to ride Duplay Dino Coaster as my 100th for a laugh or a good coaster. This is a really interesting one because for me, even though I'm like hardcore like into my coaster counting, like I absolutely love counting creds, I've never been that fussed about like what my milestones are, mostly because in my experience when I've gone on trips and stuff and ever tried to arrange for a specific coaster to be like one of my milestones, it's literally never worked out, like because there's always some coaster that is closed or something happens and you realise you've miscounted something, and it's just, I've really learned to like not let it worry me. That said, as a kind of a lover of the kiddie coaster, I think riding Duplay Dino Coaster as your 100th cred would be quite funny, like because it's such a big milestone to have it as like a silly kiddie cred. There's something quite funny in that, but I think I would like turn it into a tradition, so like every kind of big milestone has to be a kiddie cred. Like you could turn it around and do something like that with it. That would be really funny. The next question asks, what do you do when you feel like you don't have the passion for this that you once did? I've been through this a few times actually. Like I've been doing this, I always say properly because I think I've always been a kind of theme park nerd at heart, like because I grew up going to theme parks, but there's been times when I kind of sit and think, oh, can I really be bothered? Firstly, usually when this happens it's when I haven't been out to a park for a while, or I've been to a lot of theme parks in a really short space of time and I get a little bit like fatigued by it. If it's the former, see if obviously it's speaking outside of like COVID land, if it's the former, see if you can get out to a park that you know you love. Like if your favourite theme park is Alton Towers and you haven't been in ages, just pick a nice day and go, and just, I find a lot of the time that makes you kind of fall back in love with it a little bit. You kind of go, oh actually there's a reason why I like this. And then if it's the latter, if you've been doing it too much and you're kind of a little bit fatigued, just take a break. Like say to yourself, okay, I'm actually going to have a little bit of a step back for the minute, rewind, like wind down a little bit and just kind of take the edge off a little bit, because it can be a bit overwhelming, especially if you go on like a road trip or something, you ride loads of like world-class coasters one after the other. It's kind of, it gets a bit like, alright, well what now? And yeah, I can see how that kind of, it can take the passion away a little bit, especially if you are like ticking off bucket list items and stuff. You kind of go, alright, well I've done that now, so what's next? You know what I mean? Like you kind of run out of things to plan for. But the other thing I always try and do is try and it's one of the reasons why every year I do my theme park enthusiast like New Year's resolutions and my kind of bucket list. I'm always updating my bucket list and I'm always updating my resolutions every year because it gives me something different to strive for. Like this year, when the parks reopen, fingers crossed not too long now, I'm going to try and ride things I'm scared of, namely drop towers. I don't really like drop towers, but I think it will kind of give me a little bit of an adrenaline boost that I've been missing outside of like big like coasters I love, like Taron. Like, and obviously we can't always be riding Taron all the time, like it's just not realistic, especially for like theme park enthusiasts in the UK where it's a bit more effort to get over there. Just do things that are a little bit different, shake it up a little bit. If you find yourself stuck into a routine doing the same parks over and over again, looking at the same forums, reading the same message boards, following the same people on Twitter, just shake it up a little bit, follow some new people, unfollow some people, join some new groups, join some new forums, speak to some new people. One of the biggest differences and the biggest changes that I had was I was always on Coaster Force, and I know like I always speak very fondly of Coaster Force. I love my time at Coaster Force and I still like visit the forums regularly. I still interact with the kind of social media, or I still, lots of my best friends are Coaster Force members. But I branched out of Coaster Force and it was really refreshing to get kind of different perspectives on things, because something I've found is when you're all part of the same kind of group or establishment or club or whatever it is, the opinions, even though everyone does still have their kind of own personal opinions, they do seem to like follow a similar pattern. And I found that by kind of breaking away from that and joining a few other different groups, you get a real kind of perspective of the different opinions that are out there, especially if you talk to people from other countries. You can kind of see what their in-jokes are. The Netherlands enthusiast community are really fun to engage with, chat to those kind of people a lot on Twitter. Reading different message boards as well, it's quite an old school way to communicate with people, but you do just, like, this hobby is just so broad. There's so many different takes of it. There's so many different genres and subgenres and subgroups and clubs and everything else you can think of. Like, it's just, sometimes it's nice to break out of the bubble a little bit and switch things up. And also you might make some new friends, so that's a winner as well. Oh, this is bad. What what do you do when a stranger joins you on steeplechase at Blackpool? I mean, that's hilarious, but also not hilarious. Like, okay, taking the funny side of it, just close your eyes and just pray, know that it's going to be over soon, and it's only like, it's a short ride, like, you can deal with it. On a serious note, if that happens and you're really uncomfortable, you literally just say to the ride op, like, just, again, I'm a big fan of, like, not being afraid to make a scene if I'm uncomfortable, and if I was getting on a horse on steeplechase and some random man came and joined, like, straddled behind me, I probably would leap off the other side, or I would turn and scream at them, or I would scream at the ride up. Like, just make a scene and get them to come and sort it out for you. Like, we don't want strangers between our legs on log flumes. We do not want strangers, like, bear hugging us from behind on steeplechase. No, like, don't be that guy. Don't do that. That's very weird, and no, we do not appreciate that behaviour. Stop it. Amy asks, what's the best way to get cheap flights? I want to travel more, but it can be pricey. That's true, and I have some tips. So firstly, join up for alerts, like sign up to all the different airlines for their sales and alerts and things like that, because they do all kind of run sales throughout the year. I don't know what that's going to look like post-COVID. That might change things a little bit, but I'm signed up to, like, EasyJet and Ryanair, and even I think Skyscanner has, like, alerts for, like, when prices dip below, like, a normal price range. So just be on the ball, especially if you know and you're thinking for a specific trip in mind. Just have those alerts on and just be prepared to kind of act quickly to get the price you want. Also on Twitter, like the Ryanair sale, just again put alerts on for certain hashtags, and certain words, like put alerts on for Ryanair sale, and you can make sure that you're always on top of that. The next thing is just, like, shop around. Just make sure you're, again, price comparison sites like Skyscanner for flights I use religiously. Like, I wouldn't book a flight without looking on Skyscanner first, because it automatically shows you the cheapest option. Like, it's a no-brainer. The other thing I would say is understand your limits, like, know how much you are willing to spend, and just make sure you're being realistic, because, like, if you're wanting to go to, like, Orlando, you can get return flights to Orlando for, like, £250 if you want to fly no frills. Like, there are ways of getting cheaper flights if you're happy to, like, forego the bells and whistles. Like, if you're happy to have no in-flight entertainment, no meals, and you don't mind having carry-on luggage, like, Norwegian are amazing for stuff like that, and, like, cross-Atlantic flights. I think they fly to New York, Florida and LA. It depends if you're happy to do that. Like, personally, I wouldn't be comfortable to do it for that long a flight, but I know plenty of people who don't mind. There's always, I think a lot of the companies call them different things, but it'll be called something like economy basic or economy budget or something like that. So make sure you're filtering to include those options, because they will be the, like, cheapest of the cheap versions of the flights that you're looking for. Okay, I'll do one more. Right. I want to increase my coaster count, but I'm a little bit embarrassed about going after the kiddie coasters. What do you suggest? Okay, you just need to get over yourself, basically. Riding kiddie coasters is so funny, because in your head you'll be sat there thinking, oh my god, everyone's looking at me, everyone thinks I'm a weirdo, everyone's judging me. The truth is, nobody cares what you're doing, no one's paying attention to you, no one, like, gives a shit if you're riding a kiddie coaster. They might, like, think to themselves, a bit odd, but the reality is, like, think about it. If you're at a theme park, are you really paying attention to what other people are doing? No. Unless you're really making a scene about it and, like, being weird, or, like, vlogging on a roller coaster and being really loud, like, and drawing attention to yourself, you could just get away with it and people just generally don't care. Or I find something that if you just can't get over the embarrassment, the idea of going on a kiddie coaster is just too much for you to take, bring a group of friends who are going to do it with you, because it can be a real laugh. Like if you're all just sat there like sharing the embarrassment, it makes it a little bit less intense. The other thing I would suggest is a lot of time, like, speak to the ride ops, like, because Lord knows you're not the first coaster enthusiast who's ever come to their ride to get the kiddie cred. Like, they know we exist, they know what we do, they're not judging you, they're just like, they'll probably roll their eyes at you and be like, it's not one of them coaster people. But so, like, I love chatting to ride ops because they just think it's funny, and like sometimes like they'll like send you around for a few more laps, or they'll like have a laugh with you about it. Like, it's fun. And like I said, like, unless you actually are a creepy weirdo, don't worry about being judged as a creepy weirdo, because nobody cares what you're doing. Just live your best life, go forth, get your creds, ride the wacky worms, increase your cred count. I think I worked out the other day that I think something like 10% of my coaster count, I think it might even be more, is like kiddie, like shit kiddie coasters. I'm not ashamed, I wear it as a badge of honour. And I'll do it again. I can't wait for the parks to reopen for me to get back out there on some more kiddie creds. Connor's very much retired from doing that now, but the legacy lives on with me. I won't stop. It's an addiction, really. That is it for my Agony Aunt video, my theme park Agony Aunt video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a little laugh along with me, and I hope genuinely that if any of those were genuine questions that you wanted kind of advice and thoughts on, I really hope that I've kind of helped share some wisdom for you and help give you some ideas. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. If you have any further questions that I can answer in the comments that weren't already covered by this video, please do go ahead. I read all my comments and I'll reply to them where I can and to the best of my ability. If you like theme parks, if you like theme park content, if you like going to theme parks, talking about theme parks, and you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe, because that is what we do here. Like you always said in all my videos, usually I'm out of the parks vlogging, but while the parks are closed and we're not able to get to them, I'm doing a few more sit down videos talking about theme parks, talking about theme park stuff, and generally just biding my time and counting down the days until I can get back into a theme park. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you later. Bye.